right? And who follows him? People that have the same mentality.
Exactly.
And it is a very sort of, I don't want to use cult. Because I mean, it is, but you know, it is. There is something to that, but it is this kind of like blinders on because there is absolutely no way that we're going to reconsider our position. I mean, I was just talking about this the other day. The difference between an ignorant person and an intelligent person will change their conclusions with the introduction of new information. An ignorant person will say, oh, no, this is my conclusion. So if that information is going to make me change my conclusion, that must be fake news.
That must be, and cognitive dissonance is so real.
Absolutely.
That
I can't look at it.
Yeah, and cognitive dissonance and ignorance, they're married to each other. Because your brain is like overload. Like, no.
I can't take it
anymore.
Right.
So when I'm saying it's right, fake news.
Right.
You know, they do that's one of their sound bites, fake news. And that is Homeboy in the White House is like one of the most toxic motherfuckers ever.
He's a perfect example of
narcissist. Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes. And can you imagine what it's like to be raised by that, to be married to that kind of a person that like takes every single critique as an attack?
You know,
like,
I feel bad for Melania sometimes.
He's got people. The what?
I said I feel bad for Melania sometimes.
Oh yeah. I mean, what kind of intimacy could she have with a man that?
I mean, like, I feel like she set herself up. I feel like after all these years, she knows what she's got into because she could have been like, what's her face? Not Ivanka. She could have been like Ivanka. Was like, deuces, let me just take some money and be gone. So, but she's staying with it. So I'm kind of like, you know what you got into, but I feel like with him being president and seeing, like, having to experience it as, quote, you know, a citizen.
Right.
I can only imagine.
I don't think you divorced the president while he's president.
No.
And I think they've
made that clear to her.
Yeah, they got something on her. They'll do something to that. This is my little theory. They'll do something to that.
I'm pretty sure.
He'll use all his power to just annihilate her.
Yeah.
Not physically, but she will regret walking away from him.
But then again, Stormy didn't regret it that much.
She wasn't married to him.
She said he was like a what?
She said his dick looked like a little mushroom with like orange hairs around it.
Oh my goodness!
And I could, I don't want to imagine his penis, so that's part of the reason why I couldn't even read that article. But when she said, once you hear the description of it, you can't get it
people
out your head.
Like Mario started trending because it was like
exactly, because like Mario was like the mushroom. And,
oh my goodness!
But it is, but it comes, it comes back to the
yes.
same thing. You can't. There's no growth in a conversation with someone like that.
No.
So you can even tell him, listen, if you do this, children are going to die. It doesn't matter.
No.
This is what I want. And those people that are telling me that that's wrong, well, they're bad people, and
yes.
we're gonna they don't love America. And he comes up with all these ridiculous arguments.
Everything is like anti-American and anti-American, and they're not American, and they're not American, and even, which was funny, I read it on Twitter not too long before you guys came here. But he tweeted about ASAP Rocky and like how the Swedish government, they're not for African Americans, they're anti-American, and it's like, but weren't you the same person who put an ad out in like every newspaper during the Central Park 5 to like bring back the death penalty to kill these black
I was just
children.
in a restaurant. I was just in a diner, and I overheard there was a Puerto Rican family, and they were mocking him because he said, "Oh, the Puerto Ricans, I've been the best for them. I gave them jobs, and I did." You haven't.
You have not. You threw some freaking paper towels, some bounty.
Yeah, no, and
threw
he's just
some bounty at them.
He just thinks that if I say this, then I'll get, as if it's just like, oh, well, let's do an ad campaign to get the black.
Right.
Let's do it. We'll get the blacks, and we'll get the
blacks
Latinos,
and the gays,
right? Yeah.
and the Puerto Ricans.
But to bring this back, full circle.
Yeah.
So what do you do with someone like that?
Yes.
Right? If they're in your family, do you can't rehabilitate them.
No.
So you just walk away. You have
gotta
to
isolate them.
Yes.
If I were your mom, I mean, obviously there are numbers that have to be looked at, but I'd be like, why in God's name would you want to be around these people? Because that energy is going to seep into it's going to ruin. You could build a castle there, and you're going to be surrounded.
And that's her
devil.
issue right now. She's feeling like, why do I shouldn't even bother to like build this house.
She's better off buying a little plot of land on the other side of the island.
That's what she's looking at right now. She's like, it might be easier for me to just take the rest of this money and either build a house somewhere else or buy a house, because why do I want to build my house like this? I'm not going to be there for half the year for these people to still infiltrate and no one to correct them, and them of their own selves to say, I'm not going to do this, because next thing you know, we buy appliances, and what's to stop them from going in the house and stealing the sink and stealing this and selling that?
Well,
you're
going to be surrounded by people that ultimately don't want you to be successful. They want you to be as miserable as they are.
Because misery loves, and that's part.
Misery loves that company.
Exactly, and that's the thing about toxicity in general. Those kinds of people, they don't want you to be happy. They need you.
They need to feed
you.
that.
They feed. Yeah, exactly. You know, it's and like you were saying, you know, Cuban, as you were saying,
as the Cuban,
you know,
yes,
you have to make sure that you excise those people, you cut them out of your life like a cancer, and you can love people from afar.
You can.
Like, you don't have to.
You don't have to like people that you love.
Yeah,
no,
exactly.
Exactly.
Exactly. It's like, I don't have to like you. It's like I don't have to like you, your family member. And guess what? I also don't have to have you in my life mostly. Once or twice a year is good.
Right.
Facts.
I'll go to your funeral.
If your kids get married, I'll go, stuff like that. But do I need to be in my world the way you used to be before I really realized that you were fucking my energy and my vibes up? Nah, son. And that's all I gotta say about that.
You know, and I was just having this conversation with a friend just before I came. It's like you get to the point where you don't give a rat's ass to try to understand why people do this. At some point, it's like I said to her, if somebody stabs you, you don't sit there and go, wait a minute, was that intentional?
Yeah.
Or was this person trying to kill me? I have a wound that it's got to be dealt with. So it doesn't matter why you did it. You know what I mean? The truth of the matter is, you're capable of stabbing me, so I got to keep my distance.
Exactly.
Sorry.
Exactly. It's kind of like how, I'm not even sure if this analogy works, but I remember watching this interview with Muhammad Ali, and he was saying, they asked him about like good white people. And I guess you could apply this to like halfway toxic people. And he said, okay, if there were 10,000 snakes coming towards me and they're all poisonous, and out of the 10,000 snakes, 3,000 of them were halfway decent. He said, do you think that those 3,000 snakes are going to be able to do anything to the rest of the 7,000? And with that being said, do you think I should still mingle with the 3,000 halfway decent snakes because they still have potential to bite me? And it's it's like so apt.
Yeah.
Like it's so, and that's the thing about toxic people. It's like, okay, so like, you know, I'm going to keep giving you chances over and over and over and over and over again. Why? Because they've done some nice things. Part of the way, like, those kinds of minds work, those personality disorders work, if that's what said toxic person is dealing with, is that they pull you in, and the moment that they got you, they push you away. It's the idealization, depreciation kind of a thing. With one moment they're idolizing you, the next moment they're like dissing you and insulting you or whatever. And that's how that cycle works. But those good moments, oh yeah. That's the 2,000 snakes.
Right, they lure you in, right.
Yes. Yeah. And, you know, fuck them. Love them from afar. Merry Christmas. There you go, boo. That's it. Happy birthday. That's all you get.
That's all you gotta do.
Okay. And I'm good.
No, but it's true. I mean, at what point, how many times do you have to get bitten to realize, like, okay, this is a dangerous area.
This is not for me.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And on that note.
And on that note, that's how you ultimately deal with toxic people. You just kind of keep them at a distance,
or cut them out completely. And as you said, Cuban, it's so true. You don't have to like people that you love. And I've always, and you know, it's funny. I feel like I learned that distinction when I was fairly young, because I would look at people in my family and be like, you know what, I love you, but I don't gotta like you. Yeah,
you know, like. I can love you because we're blood. I can love you because we're family. Right. I love you because I understand the way we are bonded, and we will be bonded for life through, you know, this connection that we have. Right. But I don't have to like you as a human being. Exactly. Like, I don't have to think of you as a friend. You're a family member to me, and that's it. So I feel like you have people who are family and friends, like people who it transcends blood. It transcends all of that connection. There's something more, there's something deeper there than just the superficial. Right. And then you have people who you just bond with.
Well, I mean, it's I mean, depending on what your spiritual beliefs are, but ultimately it's arbitrary who your siblings are.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or who you're not just siblings, but the people that you're biologically connected to, genetically connected to. And, you know, genes don't necessarily determine personality.
Exactly.
And the way people are going to treat you.
That's
so
true.
And if you're going to mistreat people, and, you know, if you're going to screw things up, well, then come clean and say, not if I hurt you and mock the person's feelings, but say,
I am sorry, really I hurt you.
How do I, you know what I mean? I mean, and whatever happens on the micro happens on the macro.
Yeah.
I mean, look what we owe the black community as far as reparations. Like emotionally, we need, know, the country has to come forward and say, we really, really
messed up.
Yep. Even Nigeria apologized for that. Like back in '99, like there were people in Nigeria was like apologizing for their part in the slave trade.
But what's the foundation of that? That you are of equal worth to me.
Yeah.
Your feelings are just as important as. So it comes back to the same thing. We're a community where everybody's equal, as opposed to we're not equal, so I could justify stealing grandma's ring.
Right, exactly.
Because I want it. I need it. Whatever my needs override everybody else's.
That's the same thing. I like how he brought it. You see how you brought it back with the reparations? Because it's so true. When you as you were talking about previously with the Ta-Nehisi Coates, like his speech was very moving. Yeah. But as you said, like there's still no. That's why there is this divide between the black community and America, because I feel like America has yet to fully apologize and acknowledge the hurt that you've put upon these community of people, and not just black community, but I'm speaking black as a black woman and as a black person of color, but like even Native Americans, like acknowledge that shit.
Yes,
acknowledge that this is not your country.
Yeah,
every time that tangerine tinted buffoon likes to say American, acknowledge that you're not even American.
No. Right. Yeah.
Your father or grandfather was an immigrant to this country.
Yeah. Right.
You're not even American, and yet you have the audacity to say what's more American than not. Like acknowledge that. And like the people of this country, like they still can't acknowledge the hurt, the embarrassment, the shame that they put upon communities, in this country.
I know someone who dated someone. I mean, I'll be as kind of indirect with this. Who dated someone whose grandfather sexually molested the granddaughter, and it came out, and they pressured him. He had to admit to it, and then he's kind of been, kind of excommunicated from the family.
Right.
But he had to come clean, and there's been a lot of healing around that. But he had to admit to what not that he had to, he finally did.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And there was a lot of healing as a result of that. So, but it's the same thing.
Yeah.
But if white America says, yeah, we really, we honestly apologize and we really want to make up for it, again, now we're all equal at the table, and what does that mean culturally? And that's freaking, and seeing a black president, people just freak the hell out. And a first lady who was black. She wasn't trying. She wasn't.
She wasn't just black. She was black.
She was proudly and physically black. You know what I mean?
She was like, she wasn't like, I'm mixed or I'm this and I'm that to kind of like downplay her blackness.
And she straightened her hair because she had to.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Michelle Obama is a sister. That's cousin Michelle.
Yeah, as soon as she was out the White House, you saw she had them kinks and coils on that beach. She was like, listen,
she couldn't wait. Yeah. She couldn't wait to take that relaxer out.
She was like, woo, child, I'm good. I feel better.
And I mean, and that's a whole other conversation, but there are people that can really code switch.
Yeah.
They really know what's appropriate here and what's appropriate there, what works here, works there.
Trust, I know.
And whatever, at peace with all of it. But
it's clear this country healing because, look, like you said, the way that the response to Obama is
talk about a toxic relationship. Talk about an abusive relationship. Duh.
Right.
You're there. Talk about narcissism. I mean, when you have narcissistic parents, and I know people that have, the children's function is to make them look good.
Yes.
You know what I mean? The black man was there to make the white man look good, to feel good, to be rich, to not as an equal by any stretch of the imagination.
Exactly.
From day one.
That's the truth. Yeah.
So
exactly.
Final thoughts on how you handle toxic people.
Get rid of them. That's what I gotta say. Get them the fuck out of your life fast. And if you're doubting that means that they already got up in your head. But make lists and do your pros and cons, and then just really figure that shit out. But just get rid of them. Don't even do that. Get rid of them. I'm done.
Cuban, what do you think?
Get over any savior complex that you might have, because you can't